Hi everyone, back in chapter 6, skincare products, chemistry, ingredients, and selection. And in this section, 6-3, we're going to distinguish cosmetic ingredient sources and popular terms. So cosmetic ingredients, they can be derived from plant, vitamins, animals, or they can be synthetically made in a lab using chemical compounds. So we're going to talk about natural versus synthetic ingredients. So products directly from nature can have really powerful skin benefits. However, some of the most effective cosmetic ingredients are not derived from natural sources. Synthetically produced ingredients, they can be just as effective and they can have a lot of advantages over ingredients derived from nature, such as no use of pesticides and not leaving an ecological footprint. So manufacturers, they do extensive research and development to bring the latest technology into our cosmetic formulations. So think about hyaluronic acid. That's an ingredient used to bind moisture, and it was originally derived from the rooster's combs. But now we synthetically produce this ingredient today from, in a lab. And we do that because the rooster's combs, when they would derive it from there would be allergens to certain proteins and stuff. And now, since we synthetically make it, it's more stable and it has more effective water binding properties. Another thing is when they make the sodium hyaluronate, it will absorb in the skin better because hyaluronic acid is a very large molecule. It's so large it can't get into the skin. So it just sits on top and helps hold the moisture. But if you want it to be more effective and absorb, that's where we create the sodium hyaluronate, and that's in a lab. Now, sometimes it's really difficult to know when to choose natural source ingredients or synthetic ones because both of them have tremendous contributions in our skincare formulations. And a lot of manufacturers, what they do is they'll take the natural and the synthetic and they'll combine them both to have the best of both worlds into one product. Now, clients, they will prefer one philosophy over the other. They're going to either be attracted to the natural or the more clinical products. So knowing the benefits of both, it's really important for estheticians and those selling skincare products. So let's talk about some popular terms. Now, many of the terms that we use in relation to skincare products and ingredients, they're going to be found on promotional brochures. You're going to find them in advertisements, even on television commercials. And these terms are not regulated by law, but they are used as descriptive words for consumer marketing purposes. So let's talk about a few of them. One of the terms we're going to talk about is natural and all natural. So right here. Okay, so these are often used in marketing for skincare products and ingredients derived from natural sources. Now, because there is no specific legal definition, they are often used loosely. Now, many consumers, they seek natural ingredients because they're very concerned about the effects of chemical ingredients. Technically, I should say, we are all nothing but chemicals. Okay, if you look at all forms of life, all we are is made up of chemicals. And in fact, one plant extract, it can be made up of literally hundreds of chemicals in just one plant extract. Okay, so you will have those clients like Nancy Natural that wants nothing but natural, and she'll say, I don't want any chemicals on my skin. And I just think, oh brother, you are nothing but chemicals. But I do know where she's coming from. She's worried of the toxicity, But guys, that comes from both natural and from synthetic sources. So they think, oh, just because it was made in a lab, it's going to be all these harsh chemicals, but that's not always the case. Okay, so there are a lot of resources available online. If you want to find the toxicity ratings on ingredients in your skincare, if there is a concern, the one that I go to is Environmental Working Group. You can go to that. I think it's .org. Try .com or try .org, but I think it is .org. Anyway, so I really like that one, and that's the one I use. I've been using that one for years. I go on there and research certain things for see how toxic, the toxicity of things. And, you know, it is understandable, but the thing that kills me is when they say, I want all natural, no chemicals, and I'm like, oh, please. Anyway, organic. Organic is another word. And it describes natural sourced ingredients that are grown without pesticides or chemicals. Now, these ingredients are becoming way more popular as consumer demands increase. The FDA, they do not define or regulate the term organic as it applies to cosmetics, body care, or personal care products. The only regulation for that term organic is used by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and that's our USDA, and they apply to agricultural products. So if a cosmetic, body care product or personal care product does contain agricultural ingredients and it can meet certain standards, then it is eligible only to be certified organic under the National Organic Program regulations, but they have to meet those standards. Okay, so let's look at this word, cruelty-free. This is a term used to describe products that are not tested on animals at any stage of the production process, nor are there any of their ingredients tested on an animal. Okay, so that's that term. Now let's look at vegan. So the term vegan, it should not contain any animal ingredients or animal byproducts. Now this includes, but it's not limited to, like honey, beeswax, lanolin, and collagen. Now, because this term is not regulated, it's often used to simply note that a product does not contain animal ingredients. But here's the thing, it can be very confusing to consumers because products still may contain animal byproducts. If you think about lanolin, what is that from? That's from a lamb, right? So lanolin comes from the sheep's sebaceous gland. Okay, so it secretes just like we do in our hair. Well, it does on their wool. So gluten-free, that's another term that we're going to look at. So gluten, that's just a general name for the proteins found in wheat, rye, and triticale. Triticale is just a cross between wheat and rye. It was first bred in labs in the late 1900s, or the late 19th century, I should say. In Scotland and Germany is where it came from. And so that's what that word means. Celiac disease, that's an autoimmune disease in which eating gluten does cause the lining of the body's small intestine to become inflamed. Now, recently, celiac disease, gluten sensitivity, and gluten intolerance cases, they have been on the rise, and they continue to grow as healthcare professionals learn more about these conditions. So as a result of all this mounting concern about gluten, cosmetic chemists, they've also been asked to formulate gluten-free products. Although there's a lot of theories currently, there is no scientific evidence that the use of gluten-containing products is harmful to somebody with celiac disease unless that product was ingested or used on their lips or in the mouth, like lipstick, toothpaste, or mouthwash. So one of my daughters, she has celiac disease, and she can still have products on her skin. If you look at the molecule of gluten, it's a very large molecule, so the chances of it, absorbing through the skin is pretty rare. It's more ingesting it, okay, more so. But it is possible for somebody to have allergies to wheat or another grain that could cause a skin reaction. But in any case, it's always up to the client and you, the skincare professional, to do the best choice for that client's particular health concerns. Now, on skincare ingredient labels, some primary sources of gluten, you're going to notice they're listed as hydrolyzed wheat products, triticum vulgare, which is wheat germ oil. It's a kind of a yellow or reddish oil, and it comes from the germ of the wheat, and it contains vitamin E. And they use it a lot, primarily for skin conditioning agents in the products, and then also wheat amino acids. Okay, so to establish a gluten-free claim, the FDA and other organizations concerned with the international standards, they've set these preliminary thresholds that there can't be any, no less than 20 parts per million of gluten in a product. So it still has some, but it's a very small amount. Okay, some. Hypoallergenic, dermatologist tested, non-irritating. So the word hypoallergenic, that's just ingredients that are less likely to cause allergic reactions. But here's the thing. There is no guarantee that somebody out there in the world that their skin will not react to a particular product. So somewhere in the world, somebody is going to be allergic to a particular ingredient in a product. It's not possible that there's something 100%. Okay, so now another term, noncomedogenic, and this term refers to ingredients that will not clog the pores. So let's look at the opposite of that, comedogenic. These are ingredients that do tend to clog the pores, especially in the formation of open comedones, aka blackheads. Okay, let's take a look at the term fragrance-free. Fragrance-free, when you see the label on a product that says that, it doesn't mean it has no smell. Okay, fragrance-free, what it means is that no additional ingredients have been added to the product to specifically provide a fragrance. However, it may already contain ingredients that have a scent. For example, a product may contain lavender for its therapeutic benefits. We all know lavender has a very distinct aroma, but if it is, or any other ingredient wasn't added to the product specifically to give it the scent, it wasn't for that. So it is considered to be fragrance-free because they didn't add fragrance to the product. Sometimes products, we'll go into the next one on the unscented. Those products are formulated to have no smell at all. But because most of these ingredients in the formulation do have an odor, more ingredients have to be added to mask or neutralize the smell. For example, if a product is formulated with lavender, a chemical can be added to mask or neutralize the lavender smell, so the product can now be labeled as unscented. Okay. Sometimes when they're making products, it will have a really bad odor in the finished product. Therefore, they will add fragrance to mask the smell of that product. It doesn't do anything as far as, beneficial as far as skin conditioning or anything like that. It's just a masking ingredient. And you'll notice on labels it'll be labeled fragrance or parfum or whatever like that. Now, did you guys know that it would be necessary? I'm not joking, this is such a good book. The Esthetician's Ingredient Dictionary. I recommend that every esthetician has one of those because they're really nice because you can look up the properties of hundreds of natural and synthetic ingredients in products. Milady's does have a book that is, I can't remember, I think it's called Ingredient Cosmetic or Ingredient Chemistry book or something like that. I'll have to look. We have one at the school. But anyways, and there's also online, guys. So if you don't have the book, you can always go online. But I used to always try to get that book when I worked at the other school for the students in their kits, because it is really good and beneficial to have a book that you can just turn to in your treatment room and look up all the different properties of all these different natural and synthetic ingredients. So anyway, that's all I have on this section. There are some check-in questions that you guys do need to answer, and then send those to me at krista@oliverfinley.com. And one is, name the sources that cosmetic ingredients can be derived from. And then another, what is the difference between non-comedogenic and comedogenic ingredients? And then another question you have to answer, what does a fragrance-free label on the product mean? Okay, and then what has to be done to a product formulation in order for it to be labeled unscented? So guys, go ahead, answer all those questions, and then in this section, go back through, reread it, and then there is a watch section on ingredients, so watch that. And then there's a discuss section where it's on product research. And then there's a do section as well on popular terms matching. So go through, do all those, and again, do the check-in questions. And I'll see you guys in the next section.